Thank you, ma'am, Toastmaster Jesse, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Most welcome guest, Samir. Tonight, I'll be sharing with you the power of mentorship, and I would like to share a story about the start of my career and how mentors helped shape my progression and myself as a professional. I will start with a story, and this was the summer of 2005, almost 17 years ago. As a fresher electrical engineer, I was starting my first gig at a large manufacturing organization. It was a large facility. They were focusing on manufacturing consumable products like soap, shampoo, diapers, all those different elements. I was joining as a junior electrical engineer, and I was assigned to the power generation facilities team. Jesus was my assigned mentor and supervisor. He was the plant manager, also an electrical engineer. He probably was in his early 30s. He was also completing his MBA outside work. In my case, this was my first experience working for an organization. I was 22 years old. Now, my mentor guidance and support during my time at this company really shaped who I am today and my career progression. It was a really interesting experience who adds significant value to my career and to my whole, let's say, mindset and approach to being a professional. Today, I will share with you three aspects, three quick stories about my experience and explain to you how and why they shape and they influence my career. The first story is about passion for excellence and leading by example. Once I started working with Jesus and the team, I quickly realized his passion and determination to become a better professional, and his focus on continuous learning was always, let's say, fascinating to me. He was probably, as I mentioned before, in his early 30s, and he had a very young daughter, probably 3 years old. He was also starting his MBA, and I was always very fascinated because he used to live like 3 hours from the factory, from the manufacturing facility. His business school was like 2 hours away from that facility and his house as well. He didn't have a vehicle, but still, he was always present. He was not complaining at all. And he was always focused on progressing, always focused on growing as a professional and as a leader. So to me, that was quite fascinating and influencing from that perspective. Now, perhaps Jesus didn't realize at the time that his behavior and his demeanor, the way he was basically working and conducting himself, was also influencing not only myself, but the rest of the team. Now, my message here is the following: as a prodigy at the time and in general as a mentor, is there is always someone looking at what you're doing. As a leader, as a mentor, it's quite important to understand that you have an influence to your team, with your team and with your prodigies itself. Jesus always encouraged us to advance and to progress in different knowledge domains like project management, quality, etc. Therefore, that was one of the big lessons I learned during that first job. The second story is about intellectual curiosity. And we all know that curiosity improves engagement and collaboration. Typically, curiosity makes people define or have better choices, improve the company performance, and also help the company to adapt into uncertain conditions or uncertain pressures as well. In this case, Jesus embraced us to think out of the box, always to bring new ideas, to improve processes, to make things better. That approach to intellectual curiosity, it's helped Jesus also to gain significant respect, not only from myself, but for the whole team, because we were always open and we were always willing to share new ideas and basically new approaches to improve processes every day. And the third lesson was about business value. And this is quite interesting because being an engineer and also coming from the technical side of things, it's quite important for us to understand, like, regardless of what we're doing, there's always an implication in terms of connecting the dots. There is always a business value. So one of the things I learned very early on in my career is that whatever you're doing, you need to connect the dots in understanding how your contribution to the organization or your job, your role, is actually contributing to the major outcome or the value of the company, of the organization. That was one of the things I learned during my first job with Jesus, and he always helped us identify like we were doing was actually quite important, putting in perspective into what the company was trying to accomplish. Was probably if we were trying to improve a process, to increase operational efficiencies, to improve reliability. He always tried to show us how what we were doing was impacting the organization and bringing value. Those are elements, those three stories that I just shared are elements that up to today are essential core of my demeanor and my mindset as a professional. Typically, mentors are authentic, humble, and trustworthy. And those are the traits this mentor had at the beginning of my career. It was quite important. And as I mentioned before, helped me shape who I became as a professional. I want to share with you a couple of quotes. One is from Les Brown, and it's about help and mentorship. He said, ask for help not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong. The second one is about one psychologist, Ann Wilson. She said, asking for help doesn't mean that you're weak or incompetent. It usually indicates an advanced level of honesty and intelligence. My message to you is the following. How are you doing about getting new mentors? Look at those people you admire, who you trust, and just pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm looking for a mentor. Can I call you once a week, twice a month for 5-10 minutes to get advice? The way I see mentorship is kind of a people insurance in a way, kind of a real-time people insurance, because whenever you're in a situation, you can call your mentor and ask for advice. Oftentimes, we only need an encouragement, a word of bracing encouragement to get things going. My final message to you is remember, the level of consciousness that got you where you are today is not the same level of consciousness that's going to get you where you want to be. Final message, think big with mentors. Thank you, and back to you, ma'am Toastmaster.